Hey there. So, I want to tell you a few stories about my time here in England.
How's my hair?
Oh, well, it's lovely, Dad.
Okay.
Lovely. Beautiful. It's just glistening.
Which one?
That one. In the middle.
How about those Americans? Cheese toasts.
Louis Vuitton with your mother on a sandy lawn as a sophomore.
Up until September 16, 2008, I had never left the North American continent before. I got on a plane across the Atlantic Ocean. I couldn't sleep at all on the plane ride over because it was like only a 6-hour flight, and it arrived in Heathrow at about like 6 in the morning. I was just so excited and so nervous. Alright, when I say the word American, what's the first thing that pops into your head?
Cheeseburger.
McDonald's. Fast food. Supersize.
One of the first things that happened when I actually got into this country is as I was going to the train that would take me to another terminal that I was supposed to go to, there was this random guy, right? Just a random complete stranger. He didn't even work for the airport or anything. He literally just took like my two huge like rolly suitcases and just took them down the track and put them on the train. And then, to my shock, when the train actually stopped at the terminal I was going to get off at, this other guy who, I gotta say, he was pretty handsome, like he was your typical like English gentleman, he grabbed both my suitcases and put them back on the platform for me. And it was like right then and there that I knew that this was a completely different culture from what I was used to. I was really excited to see what else would happen. So, when you first met me, like, what was your first impression? What's the first thing you thought?
I thought you were Irish at first.
Really
American.
I thought you'd be shy.
I thought you were very brave.
But he's very unique.
I thought you looked really arty.
To the people of England, it might not seem very, like, exotic or anything like that. It's pretty exotic for me because I'm from the middle of the desert. And it's really, it's really different here because it rains all the time and it kind of gets dark early at night and stuff like that.
Buenas tardes, bienvenidos de la Nuevo Mexico, un día.
This is the first time in the United Kingdom. I'm enjoying it tremendously. Precisely as I ever imagined it. Everybody eats mushy peas. Okay. They mumble. Okay. They drink tea. Okay. They drive on the wrong side of the road. It's a real problem. See, they eat nothing but fish and chips. And in the morning there's porridge.
So about 2 days after I get here, I was really lost in Plymouth. I was trying to pick up my stipend check so that I could, afford food and rent and all that stuff for the year. And I ended up on the other side of campus. So I was just walking down the sidewalk and I had like the worst day. I was really jet lagged and in this horrible, horrible mood. And then I see these two guys. They're walking the opposite direction of me, like down the pavement, and they look like typical, like punk rockers. And I don't know. The encounters with punk rockers I've had before is they can tend to be a little bit rude. And so these guys are walking towards me, and I was like, oh no, they're gonna say something to me, aren't they?
We went into a truck stop and I got some gas and I went to pay. And after I paid the woman, I said to the woman, "Thank you." And all of the clerks laughed at me.
I had like my head down like this, and I didn't really know what to do. It was like, oh crap, they're gonna give me crap. But these guys, they come up to me, and as they see me, one of them says to me in an English accent that I'm not even gonna pretend like I know how to do. He says to me, "Alright, well, why don't you smile? I think you'd be right pretty if you smiled. Come on." And I was really surprised because you don't expect somebody to tell you that when they walk into you. And so I did just that, and I smiled like this. I said, "Smile." And he said, "Oh, it's true. You are pretty when you smile."
And one of them said to the other, "See, he's an American, and he says thank you." And I said, well, I can only imagine what they were thinking about Americans, that were all rude and crude and you name it. And I said, well, I was brought up well. And she told me that, well, yeah, you were brought up, not dragged up. And I liked that. I thought that was pretty cute.
That little act in and of itself, it kind of just made my day, and it made me think that, this is a different country and it's gonna be alright. You'd never really have something like that happen to you in America. You'd have guys like wolf whistle at you and things like that, but they never just tell you to smile. Now I want you to do your best impression of an American accent. Just say something. Say
Oh my god.
Okay, so like me and Mindy were like outside the mall and they had a 50% off sale on shoes and we were like, oh my god, so we just went inside and I was like, shut up.
Oh my god.
Okay. Howdy y'all.
Shut up! I wash myself with a rag on the stick.
Do you feel that when people hear your accent that they respond negatively or positively? I know you had that experience in the
Positively. I can't imagine that I have an accent. So I speak the way I speak, and when we go from region to region in the United States, I grew up in New York, and in New York they said, yeah, there was these two guys walking down the street. That's the classic New York accent. So I haven't ever been told by people that I have a New York accent.
I get made fun of sometimes for some of the things I say. Like, the other day in the kitchen, actually, I was talking to one of my housemates, and, I asked him if I could borrow some of his herbs, like seasonings, not the drugs or anything like that, like his actual seasonings. And he just starts cracking up laughing.
And then, coming from the Southwest, it's kind of what we do is kind of flat. There's a little sing-song that comes in just because of the Spanish influence from where we are.
Like, you say herbs, ha 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 ha. Like, how are you supposed to say it? He's like, it's herbs.
And I expect that people would expect me to be like a surfer guy, Yeah, dude, cool, that sort of thing.
That sounds so pretentious. I'm not going to say that. But, well, it sounds really weird when you don't pronounce the H. You sound like you're Jamaican or something. I was like, what? No, that's Jamaican.
And since we're so close to Texas, I thought that I was a cowboy from Texas.
I say laundry instead of wash. Washing. Sorry, it's washing. Yeah. And I say trash instead of rubbish.
So I don't really consider myself as having an accent. And there hasn't been one place that we've gone where people haven't figured out that we're from somewhere else. They usually do guess the United States, though. I had one fella assume that I was a Canadian, so that was kind of cool. Eh?
What would you say you dislike most about America based on what you've seen in the media?
I don't like the fact that America thinks they're the most powerful.
I don't like the way they take it upon themselves to be the iron fist of the world.
I don't like their greed for things like driving big cars or trying to save it, and it pollutes the atmosphere.
I don't like the groups that you see in schools and skinny, bitchy ones.
I don't like the hypocritical government that have been running that country for ages, and it better change.
The extreme religious ones in the south where, like, either really racist or homophobic.
Darling, can you bring me a spot of tea and some crumpets, please? I'd really appreciate it.
The old joke is that the English and Americans are two sets of people who are divided by a common language.
At first glance, it kind of seems like the English culture and the American cultures are very similar, and overall that's kind of what I've discovered, but I think that there's just all these tiny little minuscule differences between the two cultures that really, when you add it up to the grand scheme of things, it ends up being a pretty big difference. Just the way that people talk to each other here, and just, simple linguistic things like that. That they drive on the other side of the road, that they eat different foods than what I'm personally used to, or that they're actually nice to each other here. So, lot of the time, or at least they're nice to me. I haven't really encountered any mean people there. They're very polite here, and even when they're being mean to you, they're being polite, and it's really strange. It's been a very interesting experience in this country for me.
This is the life I want to live in a quiet town.